All right, today we're diving into one of history's absolute greatest puzzles. We're talking about a massive, super sophisticated Bronze Age civilization. I mean, these people built incredible cities, they traded with empires, and then, poof, they vanished, leaving behind a language that, to this day, we still can't read.
I mean, just think about that for a second. Imagine a civilization with cities that were more organized than a lot of cities aren't today, yet we can't read a single word they wrote. Who were these people? We found the ruins of these amazingly planned cities, but we have no idea what they called them, who their kings or queens were, or what gods they prayed to. This right here is the central mystery of the Indus Valley civilization.
Okay, so first things first, let's try and get a handle on just how ancient and, well, vast this forgotten world really was. We're talking about going way, way back, over 4,500 years ago. The Indus Valley civilization was really in its prime between 2600 and 1900 BC. Now, to put that in perspective for you, their amazing cities were bustling at the exact same time the pyramids were being built in Egypt. At the same time, the great empires of Mesopotamia were rising. You know, they were one of the big three, the original great civilizations of the ancient world.
And look, this wasn't just some small, little kingdom. We're talking about a civilization that was absolutely enormous. It covered a staggering 1 million square kilometers. That's across parts of modern-day Pakistan, India, and Afghanistan. In fact, it was the most geographically widespread civilization of its time, period.
But what's really, truly mind-blowing isn't just how big they were. It's how incredibly sophisticated they were. And the best evidence we have for that, well, it's right there in the ruins of their cities. You see, they engineered features of urban planning that would be impressive even just a few hundred years ago, let alone thousands. Their biggest cities, places like Mohenjo-Daro and Harappa, were laid out in these perfect, precise grid patterns. And get this, they had super advanced water management systems with public wells, drains, and even covered sewers. That kind of organization across the board, it just screams that there was some kind of powerful, centralized authority running the show.
And if you want a perfect example of their precision, look no further than this. Archaeologists found that across their entire massive civilization, their bricks were standardized. I mean, they almost always had the exact same proportions, this perfect 1:2:4 ratio. Now just try to imagine coordinating that level of detail across hundreds and hundreds of settlements without email, without phones, without anything. It's astonishing.
And this incredible organization, it went right down to the very layout of their cities. They were pretty much always divided into two main parts. First, you had the citadel. This was a raised area, kind of like an upper town, with all the big public buildings, think granaries, maybe administrative centers. And then below that, you had the lower town. This is where most of the people actually lived and worked, in these neat, orderly residential blocks.
Okay, so we've established they built these incredibly organized cities. But how did they power their economy? Were they just off on their own, isolated from the rest of the world? Well, all the evidence we have points to a very clear answer. Absolutely not.
Yeah, far from being isolated, the people of the Indus Valley were actually major players in the ancient world's economy. They built up this complex, thriving trade network that stretched for literally thousands of miles.
And we basically have the receipts to prove it, so to speak. Archaeologists have found their distinctive seals, think of them as their unique calling cards, all the way over in Mesopotamia, which is modern-day Iraq. They even used standardized weights and measures for business, which is a huge deal for ensuring fair trade. It all paints a picture of a connected, truly international hub of commerce.
Which brings us right back to those seals. They are, without a doubt, some of the most beautiful, intricate, and deeply frustrating clues this civilization ever left behind.
So, what are these seals exactly? Well, they're these small, square objects, usually carved from stone, and each one is like a miniature work of art. Most of them have this stunningly detailed animal on them. You'll see bulls, elephants, even what looks like a mythical unicorn. And then, right above the animal, there's this mysterious line of symbols. The best guess is that they were used as official stamps, kind of like a signature to mark goods or authorized documents.
And they really are like tiny windows into their world. I mean, the animal carvings, they give us a glimpse into their culture, maybe their mythology, the world they saw around them. But those symbols, the ones right above the animals, that's where the window suddenly fogs up, because that, right there, is their writing.
And this right here, is the heart of the whole enigma. It's the biggest single barrier separating us from the people of the Indus Valley, a complex language that, for all of our modern technology, we simply cannot read.
It's known, appropriately enough, as the Indus script. It's the system of symbols that we find on thousands of artifacts, but mostly on those little seals we were just talking about. And here's the thing. Despite more than 100 years of work by some of the most brilliant minds on the planet, it is still one of the last major undeciphered scripts of the ancient world.
And the challenge is just immense. We're not talking about a simple ABC alphabet here. Researchers have identified over 400 unique, distinct symbols. So is it phonetic, where symbols represent sounds, or is it pictographic, where they represent whole ideas? The problem is, without something like a Rosetta Stone, a text that has the same message in a known language alongside the Indus script, we just don't have the key to unlock it.
And this leads to a really profound and, frankly, frustrating reality. There's a saying among archaeologists who study this civilization: we can excavate their cities, but we cannot hear their voices. Think about that. We can walk their streets, we can marvel at their sewer systems, but we can't hear their stories. We can't read their myths. We don't even know their names. Their entire world is completely silent to us.
So you have to wonder, what secrets are locked away inside these elegant little symbols? The answers to everything, who they were, what they believed, how they saw their own world. It's all right there, staring us in the face, but it's completely out of reach.
And then, after almost 1,000 years of what looks like incredible stability and prosperity, something happened. Around 1900 BC, the great cities start to be abandoned. The civilization goes into a steep decline, and eventually, its memory just fades away, becoming little more than a myth.
Which leaves us with the final, really haunting question. How could a civilization this advanced just vanish? Was it climate change that dried up their rivers? Was it some kind of foreign invasion? Did they just collapse from within? How could a society so organized, so widespread, and so far ahead of its time just fade away into nothing? It really is the ultimate mystery of a lost world, and it's still just waiting to be solved.